look to the deck. Not as many have decided to actually sleeve it up like Kirk here. Looks
Yeah.
like we're getting ready to get started, going into the match.
Oh my word! So I talked with these guys before the round, and neither one had any idea what the other was playing. So I'm sure when Igor saw Kirk flip over the whales, he was sad.
Not what he wanted to see here.
Apparently there were many mulligans on Kirk's side. Chip Ritchie is giving us the true insightful analysis as he spied around the corner as they were setting up.
So Igor here starts with the Zorua. He's going to Ultra Ball. Igor needs to be very precious with every single card he plays. Any card played poorly is a turn off the clock for Igor. So he's Ultra Balling for Lele here. So checking his deck, looking for probably a Bridget, I would guess, just to get Zoroark in play.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting strategies, because Zoroark does more damage based on how many Pokemon are benched, I think in a lot of these matchups, the person who's attacking to the whales tries not to overbench because you risk having something catchered up that's difficult to retreat. But here, he's going to have to just bench a lot of Pokemon, right?
Yeah, so if Igor has a full bench of 5 Pokemon and a Choice Band, he's going to hit 150, which is going to be enough to put him into 2-shot range. Igor is going to try and force Kirk to play as many cards as he can as often as possible to keep the whale alive. So this is a great setup by Igor here, just 4 Zorua and Lele. Looks like Igor.
He's got a lot of cards in hand after that Ultra Ball.
If I'm Igor here, I think I'm just going to pass. I don't really need to play any cards. Choice Band's fine. Looks like he passes.
He's got the energy in hand, but he's like, there's no point attaching it because it would just go away.
Absolutely.
Wailord plays so much energy disruption.
Big turn from Kirk here. He draws, and he passes.
The facetiousness.
Back to Igor, trade. Being able to trade eggs is huge because you can draw cards without having to pitch anything, which is great for resource conservation.
Right.
Looks like he's compressoring here. Probably going to put more eggs in the discard.
Yeah.
We find that gets us. Looks like that's what he does fine.
He did not prize the Getsus, which is a big part of the strategy here.
So if I'm Igor, best play for me here. Gets us, hope to hit some items, attach that double, and start attacking. Plays that gets us. Looks like he gets rid of
He gets 4, and he's
4
down
items.
to 1 card. What's the card that's left?
I can't
Is
actually
that
tell.
is that a Shauna?
Looks like it.
It's honestly the funny thing about these full art cards is because I have two kids. We don't buy nice cards, so I don't know what the golden full art cards look like. I'm like, oh my god, that could be anything. Was that a Lusamine? That might be a Lusamine.
Might be.
I think that is a Lusamine.
As a student out of college recently, I also can't afford nice cards, so I'm in the same boat as you. And Igor just attaches and attacks. That Wailord will be knocked out next turn if Kirk does not find something to heal it right away.
I did not see what his top deck is. It's an AZ.
It's an AZ, okay.
But having said that, the AZ saves him for this turn. The next turn he can Lusamine for the AZ again, and AZ the following turn to kind of stave off a knockout, but it doesn't really change his board state that much.
So Igor is just going to trade for free again. He can use this turn to get more Zorks, and what's really important here is he doesn't have to burn resources to find a double or even VS Seekers on that gets us. So it's pretty much a free turn for Igor.
Yeah. I assume he's going to want to save his puzzles to grab back DCEs and Seekers to get this more.
Definitely. Another thing about this matchup is Kirk really has a huge advantage with the Stadium War. He doesn't have stadiums now, but he runs 4 copies of Tropical Beach. That allows you to draw to 7 cards and then end your turn. But because Wailord doesn't attack, it's actually really good for the deck. It allows you to constantly refresh these disruption resources that he's got.
Yeah, I think that's part of why Igor's so quick to initiate conflict here. The fact that he got all those pieces before Kirk could find a Tropical Beach puts Kirk off the pace. I mean, if Kirk had been able to refresh his hand, he'd be much happier. Definitely.
We see Igor using his computer search. That's interesting play here. Probably just grabbing another Zork that wants to set up as much as possible, or taking supporters to continue this disruption here. Triple Zork is absolutely a perfect setup for Igor. You can see 6 fresh cards every turn. Uses Guzma, pulls up the Wailord, starts applying pressure immediately again.
Yeah, I mean, even though he has to use his computer search, he knows that He's only got the Lucamine in hand. He's not going to be able to get that AZ back until next turn, so he's going to try and take a quick knockout.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what Kirk draws here. Maybe something to bail him out. Tropical Beach or something. Looks like he draws Max Potion. That's another turn that he buys.
Top decks for life.
Igor just draws and attacks immediately. Igor is trying to play as fast as possible, to have as much time as possible to try and win 2 games here against this very slow Wailord deck. Kirk nest balls.
Yeah. And the more he can put on the board before Kirk finds the Tropical Beach, the happier he's going to be.
Yeah. Looks like Kirk grabs a Hoopa. Hoopa's ability allows it to be protected from Pokemon EX and GX attacks, which is huge because it'll force Igor to have to find and play a Hex Maniac to take a knockout.
And it puts him on odd prizes.
Definitely.
And there's no other way he's going to recover from that because all the rest of Kirk's Pokemon are EXs and GXs. There's no reason not to feed him a 7th prize.
Looks like he plays an AZ to pick up that Wailord. Draws an Enhanced Hammer. Kirk has no cards in hand, so he is completely in top deck mode. Igor is going to need to find another double and a Hex Maniac here to take this prize. But like you said, that's odd prizes, so it doesn't really do much for Igor. Trades the first time. Trades again.
He runs 2 hexes, right? Yeah.
He does, yep. So finding it should be easy. He can also use a second Lele to find that hex. Get that full bench.
Trades for the 3rd time.
Looks like he finds the hex.
He found the hex. It's nice that he didn't have to spend too much resources to find it.
And he's got the double colorless.
Yeah.
So he will be taking the knockout here. Kirk draws. Concedes. Looks like he's thinking about it, and he does concede. Very interesting here. You know, Kirk wasn't in danger of losing right away, but he realizes with no cards in hand, you know, he's not going to be able to put up much of a fight as far as disruption goes, and Igor is definitely in the driver's seat there. Huge win for Igor. Most importantly, a fast win.
Yeah, you know, I think what's interesting is it seems like Kirk just despaired of ever finding that Tropical Beach. The Tropical Beach is absolutely critical because that's the draw engine.
Yeah, without that, I mean, like you saw, he had 2 cards in hand the whole game. And, you know, every top deck is something that can pretty much buy him a turn, whether it's a healing card like that AZ or an energy hate card. But Igor's setup was just too good.
You know, it's interesting that, I think Chip gave us some really good information that we couldn't see because they hadn't cut to the game until actually everyone had set up. But the fact that there were so many mulligans gave Igor all the resources he needed to have an incredibly aggressive start.
Yeah, absolutely. Igor is hoping to have same kind of start there. That start that's the only thing Igor needs. So if he can do that again, Kirk is again going to be desperate to find some resources.
Yeah. You know, another interesting thing about this, so that we could talk about while they're setting up is, I've never seen this before at a tournament, but I think coming out of Toronto, it's a thing. We have a shuffle judge sitting on the stream.
Yeah, there's been some interesting controversy as of recent with various shuffling techniques and stuff on stream. So we've decided to crack down a little harder here, make sure everybody is just getting a nice, good.
Yeah.
Good
so there's actually 2 different judges. There's a judge to Kirk's left who is actually watching gameplay, and then there's a judge in between Igor and Kirk to Kirk's right who is in charge of watching the shuffling.
And we see the mulliganing here.
Yeah, now we
Kirk.
get to count the mulligans.
Yeah, so we got the first one. So actually, Kirk only runs 6 Pokemon. He's got 4 Wailord EX. He's got that Hoopa you saw, and then he's got a Xurkitree GX. And that card is the only other Pokemon we didn't see. So 6 Pokemon, not a very high percentage of starting with a basic.
Yeah. So do you think Kirk will play the Xurkitree at all this game? On the one hand, the power of Xurkitree is its attack for 1 lightning energy puts down a 7th prize. The bad news is all Igor has to do is find a hex, and it's 2 prizes for him.
Yeah, you know, I think Kirk will stay away from using the Xurkitree. The biggest thing is it's very easy for Igor to knock it out, and it doesn't really do much as far as stalling goes. So I think Kirk is going to opt to just use these giant Wailord by as many turns as possible, not give Igor a chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think this is a rare matchup where the Xurkitree does nothing good for him. But yeah, it's the kind of cute tech that people love.
It is, yeah. One thing that's interesting, actually, is the GX attack. If Kirk uses it, then Igor can knock out that Hoopa and go back down to even prizes. So I don't think that's something Kirk really wants to do, unless he can guarantee some good card to pull into the prizes.
All right, let's see if we got our second mulligan. We do.
We do.
So I have a great story for you. So I think going into this tournament, I think one of the funny things about a tournament like this one, where it's expanded, we don't go to that many expanded events, and it's a whole new format with Forbidden Light Pokemon is, I don't think people know exactly what they should play. So we actually started out on Wailord. I think we were going to play almost this exact list because Wailord, I think, has historically been very effective in seniors in the meta. So my son was gung-ho to play Wailord, and last week we played a couple of games with Igor, and we told him we were on whales, and he was like, why don't I play some Night March? Oh, we found a whale, yay!
It's only 2 mulligans this time. Kirk starts with Wailord, and looks like his start here much better. He's got Nest Ball and a Robo Sub, so he's got basics. Got 2 of these big whales here. Checking the deck, probably looking to see how many beaches there are. Maybe that
After the
Koopa.
last game, he was like, I gotta find those.
Yeah.
Give them to me. So the end of the story is, Igor says, I'll play Night March against your Wailord, and promptly starts Marshadow.
And he does find the tropical
obliterate us.
beach.
Oh, finds
Perfect.
the beach, hits the beach.
That is not what
Is
Igor
happy.
wants to see. He does start Zorua, so good starter on his side, but this is much better for Kirk than last time.
Yeah, Kirk has gotten the start that he wants. This is the reason to scoop fast, right? He says, I could get a win here and turn this into a tie.
Looks like Igor plays Pokemon Communication. It's an older search card. Reveal a Pokemon and then put it into your deck. Take a Pokemon to replace it. So he's probably going to take a Tapu Lele here, grab a Bridget, grab the Zorua, try and mimic that setup from last time.
Yeah, that old school Pokemon Communication looks super amazing to me. But it predates when my kids started playing Pokemon. I'm glad you were able to identify it. I'd be useless here.
I've been playing for a little while, and so when I have a chance to play Heart Gold Soul Silver art cards like that one, I always do because they just look really cool. And matches like this where there's not much going on here, you find the little things.
And last round, Alex still had the old school plus power.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that. Yeah, I think that's one of the perks of having been around and having some of these cards is you get to play the old school cards.
So Igor opts to take a Zoroark GX here. He'll just have it for next turn. He can start drawing immediately. Bounces that Tropical Beach. Wants to try and get on top of the stadium more. Kirk runs 2 copies of Glucamine as well as his 4 Tropical Beach, which means Kirk definitely has the stadium advantage here. So Igor wants to make sure that he can bounce him whenever he can. Looks like he had a Raw Bridget in his hand as well. That's even better than last time. He just grabs 3 Zorua. So he's got the 4 of a kind.
I don't think he's too worried about benching Pokemon in this matchup. I mean, benching a Tapu Lele is not really going to set him back that much, right?
Yeah.
Assuming that Kirk tries to pull that up at some point, you have to find a Floatstone, but he's going to try and put you in that off situation regardless.
So it looks like Igor opts to pass. Kirk does the same. Very fast turn from Kirk. Bench pass.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think your typical person, when you imagine the idea of playing kind of a stall deck like Wailord that just runs you out of resources, imagines that people who are playing these kind of decks do a lot of just draw passing, and yet that's how the Wailord deck is played.
Yeah, Kirk is perfectly content doing nothing for sometimes 50 minutes at a time, 9 rounds in a row. Igor has to trade away cards, and while that's not significant right now, every card that he discards that isn't an egg for trade is just 1 less card on the
It's
clock.
an interesting decision. So he trades an Ultra Ball. I mean, would he have been better off Ultra Balling an egg? Because if he doesn't find an egg soon, he'll end up trading more cards than he would have if he had just Ultra Balled the egg.
It is an interesting choice. It could be that Igor really values the cards in his hand immediately and doesn't want to discard them needlessly. He's fine to discard these cards now. It's very early in the game. He's got plenty of time.
Wow, those are some handsome fellows. I like that angle.
It's a little more interesting than the game we're watching right now, but Igor has already traded twice this turn.
Whereas for round 1, I did not text my wife telling her I was commentating on stream. I did text her right before this round. I'm sure she heard that comment and she was like, "Oh my God, he's a disaster."
Well,
it's tough out there, people.
Yeah. But Igor opts a computer search here. There's a lot of choices he can take. Looks like he's opting, looking at that red card. Kirk's got a big hand, wants to shuffle that away. Kirk doesn't have beach, so he might not be able to bail himself out. This will buy Igor more time to start attacking, get going.
Ideally, he would have liked to pair that with like a red card gets us play.
Definitely.
But I don't know if he's going to be able to pull that.
So Igor, looking at his hand here, plays the Pseudo-Wudo. That's the last bench Pokemon he'll need to start two-shotting Wailord. Opts to red card, but I didn't see a double in his hand, so I'm not sure if he's attacking it this turn. Looks like maybe he wants to just set Kirk back before he starts his assault.
Kirk showing good shuffling practices in front of the shuffle judge.
Kids at home, make sure that you shuffle thoroughly after every sort of shuffle card. Now Igor, looks like he does have the double. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
He's going to poke at it.
So he hits it for 130.
Just enough to two-shot.
Let's see what Kirk has here. Kirk has an Acerola, just picks it up, fully heals it, resets Igor's turn. Now if Igor knocks out this Robo-Sub, it effectively does nothing for Igor. Just buys Kirk another turn. Igor's looking at his hand here, deciding whether or not he wants to play more cards. Gonna Colress, thinking about it. Maybe find more Zork. Maybe find some eggs finally, so he doesn't have to keep pitching resources.
Yeah. He would definitely like to be able to start trading without giving away cards. Want to conserve every card you can.
Grabs a 7. Let's see what he finds here. I think I see a Zork in there. It's 3 Zork. That means he'll get 6 cards every turn. Oh, he opts to not play anything and just attack the Robo-Sub. Kirk draws. Not much in his discard.
Yeah, he's checking his discard for all the no cards in it.
Looks like he plays a Skyla, probably grabbing an Enhanced Hammer. He does take it, discard that double. He's starting in on hating Igor's energy cards. This is honestly fine from Kirk, you know. Having to play a supporter for just an Enhanced Hammer normally isn't that good, but when that's all you need to do, this is exactly where Kirk wants to be. Takes a Skyla back with VS Seeker, so he can do it again. And the Tropical Beach.
Yeah.
This is a very big turn for Kirk. He beaches.
So he's playing that Seeker for Skyla, demonstrating paranoia about getting Getsus next turn.
Definitely. Very forward-thinking play from Kirk. Doesn't want Igor to have any chance to slow him down. And so now Igor knows that the next double he plays will likely get knocked off.
Yeah. It's just going to be Enhanced Hammers unless he refreshes Kirk's hand.
We already saw the red card gone from Igor. This Zork deck is only playing 1 red card, so if he wants to reuse it for a big turn with Getsus, he'll need to puzzle for it, which is unfortunate.
Trades another Ultra Ball.
Finally
Found
trades
an
an
egg.
That's big for Igor.
Yeah. The fact that he's thrown away 2 Ultra Balls instead of going Tapu Lele Getsus, does that mean the Getsus is likely prized?
It could be. It could also be that Igor isn't ready to use the Getsus. You know, it's important to combo the Getsus with a big attack, and Igor is not really set up yet to start taking advantage of that. So I think he's just valuing just the raw draw over some hard disruption play like that.
All right. He's Skyless for Lusamine, so he's setting up the Lusamine chain.
Yeah.
And tell the viewers about Lusamine chaining, because this is a critical path stuff for Wailord.
Yeah, so Lusamine takes 2 cards from your discard, either any combination of 2 stadiums or 2 supporter cards. So it's very important because you can actually chain Lusamines by taking another Lusamine from your discard pile, which means you have infinite Lusamines in effect. So he can constantly take back Tropical Beach and bump Igor's stadiums out of the game, take more supporters like Skyla, and that really starts the infinite resource chain from Kirk.
And whereas Igor has to be worried that he's going to run out of resources, Kirk never worries that he's going to run out of energy disruption or stadiums once he's got the Lusamine chain working.
So Igor trades away that Battle Compressor, even though he has Egg in the discard. Maybe he's hoping to thin his deck a little bit and keep just the crucial resources.
Yeah, I think he looks at how much stuff he's already had to trade.
Just to play double puzzle. I think I saw double colorless as the first card he took. Oh no, actually gets this red card, or
No,
Guzma red card. Sorry.
The fact that he puzzles for the red card really makes me think that gets us his prize this game.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, looks like he has a shaman. This is smart from Igor. It allows him to start attacking and conserve the energy.
Right.
Also interesting here, he puts 60 damage on this Waylord, but that sets Igor up for a big burst play from Zorark with the Skyfield.
Yeah, he'll be able to one-shot it now, which is huge for his numbers.
Yeah, so he red cards, shuffles away everything Kirk did over the past couple of turns, and now he's hoping that Kirk will not be able to heal this Waylord, and Igor can take a big knockout.
Yeah, the hand disruption's big because it derails the Lusamine chaining. You're going to be able to stop Kirk from just grabbing supporters willy-nilly from his deck, or from his discard.
Very smart play from Igor. This way he'll have the Shaman for next turn as well. Really big explosive turn coming from Igor. And there's that. We see that Sky Return, and he's putting up that Zork without the Choice Band, which will give him the ability to attach a Floatstone and possibly infinitely do this Sky
chain the Shamans at him.
Yep.
Puts pressure on Kirk to find a blower.
Definitely. And actually...
Oh, he runs a Megaphone.
It looks like he runs a Startling Megaphone over Blower, which is big. That'll get all the tools off of Igor's board instead of just two of them.
Yeah.
Kirk Nest Balls, probably grabbing, could be a Hoopa, could just be another Waylord, or he's just failing it.
So, yeah, and I think that speaks to, I mean, this is a kind of an aspect of smart deck design, right? I mean, Field Blower, the big asset behind us, it lets you get rid of tools or stadiums, but Kirk's never worried about getting rid of stadiums because he has infinite access to Tropical Beach thanks to the power of Lusamine chaining.
Definitely, yeah.
So he doesn't need to play tools to get rid of people's stadiums because he can always play his counter stadium.
Kirk finds that Max Potion. It is unfortunate, and he Skull Grunts.
That's a good play.
Discards that double. Now Igor has to find another double again to repeat this play. That is not what Igor wanted to see, but Igor's got quite the hand here, so I imagine he'll be able to find another double. He's got double Zork, touches the float, like we talked about, Shaman. Maybe he even has the next double in his hand.
I'm not going to lie. I'm sure all the people watching the stream are wondering, what did Kirk just write down? Even our monitor is not so high res that we can tell what he has written down.
Could be Kirk was looking to see if Igor had any puzzles in his hand. Crucial cards like VS Seeker or something that Kirk needs to be aware of, as those are the most important resources Igor has to stop Kirk.
Right.
4 is for 8.
It's interesting because obviously I assume that while we cannot see what he's written down, Igor can see. So it's not like he's writing down, keeping track of prizes or anything like that. He's just keeping track of what's in Igor's hand. Igor's like, yeah, I know that too.
Igor plays double puzzle, grabs double
DCE.
Double. He's got that Floatstone. He's got the Shaman ready. And honestly, if I'm Igor, I'm fine using the Sky Return loop here for a little bit. Buy some time. At the same time, though, you got to be aware of that Skull Grunt. And having those doubles in your hand is not safe anymore. So Igor attaches that double to Shaman. And he is going to do the Sky Return loop here again. Retreats into Shaman. He's thinking about it, actually. He might even just pass.
I think the question is he going to do something else? Because he already attached the energy for the turn. The odds that he's not going to Sky Return loop is almost 0, right?
Yeah. Just pulls it up, puts another 60 on that Waylord, sets it up again for that knockout.
Yeah.
Now Igor's hoping that Kirk doesn't have a VS Seeker to reuse that Skull Grunt.
Well, that's, the prior turn when he was VS Seekering for the Skyla because he wanted to avoid the Getsus, that cost him a Seeker.
Definitely. We see him just AZ, heal, put up that Hoopa. Now Igor has to find a Hex. And that is, that's not what he wants to play, but,
It's interesting. I think Igor's now gone through all 4 of his puzzles, so that's something that Kirk can kind of factor into his calculations as he tries to figure out how much he can feed him Hoopas. Like he's only he's on kind of a Seeker count now, because when he runs out of hexes,
that's it.
He can just double puzzle Hoopa, put the Hoopa up, and start trying to pick up Pokemon, right?
He does Hex. He does knock it out. And so now the big thing with losing all those puzzles is that every double that Igor plays, that's the last.
That's the last.
That's the last
time
one
you're
of its
going to
kind.
see that double colorless.
Definitely. Looks like he plays an enhanced hammer. So now Igor down to 3 doubles.
Yeah.
So Igor uses VS Seeker. Taking Guzma. Might be doing the Sky Return loop again. That's a way to conserve his doubles and reuse them. This is very smart play by Igor, maximizing the mileage of each double colorless. Attaches Choice Band, double colorless again. You're going to be seeing this a lot this game. As Igor knows that his resources are precious here. Pulls up a different whale.
Right. Kirk's action of touching 2 Wailords was symbolic of how they're changing places because they are identical.
Kirk would rather this Wailord keep taking some damage. Maybe he likes the other ones. Maybe the other ones are near mint and this one's, slightly played. Looks like he plays
the
Volkners. Yeah. We talked about this while we were waiting. Igor has to read this. We did the same thing. Not a card you see too often, but so Volkner allows you to search your deck for a lightning energy and an item card. And that's very big. It'll allow him to take that enhanced hammer again to hate an energy, or you're taking computer search, even better. Takes a lightning energy, and lightning, of course, the deck runs 1 lightning energy to give it the option of using Xurkitree GX's GX attack. Kirk has no plans of using that this game, so he just discards.
Is he going to grab the beach here?
Could be. Refresh his hand.
I assume he's very sad to only have like 2 cards in hand.
Yes. A lot of Kirk's cards are very shiny and expensive. We see that's a secret rare lightning energy. These are the things you got to watch out for in this matchup because Kirk doesn't have much else going on.
Did you see what card he grabbed there?
I did not actually. I was unable to.
He's quick with the flip. Our lack of access to hand cams and prize cams.
It is that Tropical Beach. He plays a max question, and he's going to beach for a clean 7. This is absolutely not what Igor wants to see.
You can tell Kirk is loving life there. He dealt those 7 with enthusiasm.
This is much better. This is really Igor's worst nightmare. He's already gone through all 4 of his puzzles. He's got at least 1 double down, and now Kirk has everything he needs.
So if you were Igor and you weren't feeling optimistic about this, would you see if you can go another 20 minutes, or would you try to scoop and do a quick game 3? Yeah, I'm sure Igor's contemplating, life, the universe, and everything here.
I imagine Igor's going to wait it out at least a couple more turns. See what Kirk has off of this beach. Maybe he can buy a little bit more time, but if in the next couple of turns here it doesn't look better for Igor, I think he'll concede and try and win a fast game.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of time for a game 3 if you're not the Wailord player.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either going to get control, I think we can only assume at this point that his Getsus is indeed prized for this game 2. And as we talked about in game 1, Getsus is the key card. We talked about it going into the matchup.
So Kirk uses Skullgrunt again, puzzles for it, and he's going to discard 1 double. That's so bad for Igor. I think he only has 2 double left. See 1 double, 2 double in there. So I think he has 2 double left, but that's if Kirk can use any 2 more enhanced hammer, Igor is out of this game. So I would actually seriously think about maybe moving on, using the time left for game 3, sneak out a quick one.
Yeah, and obviously, I think part of the point of the Wailord deck is Kirk wants Igor to dig for that double colorless. He's like, burn cards, get stuff out of your deck.
Every turn that Igor passes is very bad for him because the way to really beat these kind of stall decks like this is to make them play cards every turn.
He handiworks him.
Handiworks him.
Double heads.
Oh, that's brutal. That's 4 turns off the clock for Igor. Igor is counting the cards in his deck. He has to see. There's not much left to work with. Still has to take 5 prizes. Maybe these whales are too much.
Yeah, it's seriously. I was commenting before the stream. When you watch the VG stream, because there's like interaction between opponents and there's kind of aspects of RNG when people make plays. People can freak out. The commentators are like, "Oh my God, he had a crazy tailwind! It's an unbelievable critical hit." Hitting double heads on Handiwork is probably the closest thing we're going to get to a moment of craziness on this stream. Double heads on the Handiwork is huge.
Looks like a Lucamines for Skyla, and I think that was a Handiwork. Igor draws every turn. Looks like there's 4 cards maybe in deck, maybe 5. Igor's got to see writing on the wall.
And he
here,
still
maybe.
hasn't found the DCE, right?
Yeah. He's probably going to Ultra Ball, just check the deck, but in playing Ultra Ball, that's just another card gone. Propagations, that's a card back. Looks like he discards them. It's a free Ultra Ball. He's looking.
Did he prize his other DCE?
I think he might have. I don't think he.
I did not see any
real quick.
DCEs in that very quick flash through his deck.
Yeah.
I think he definitely doesn't have 2. Question is, does he have any?
So Igor.
Handiwork.
Another
Double heads.
Double heads.
Oh, double heads. Guys, that's the TCG drama right there.
Yeah, there it is. That's probably the most
4
exciting
consecutive
thing
heads in a row.
you'll see from Kirk in this
That is
series.
completely off the chain.
So
Yeah, he's like, my prizes were DCE gets us.
that's
Seeker.
Brutal. That's brutal for
Whoa.
Igor. But it's not the end of the world for Igor. We got 19 minutes left. He can win a quick game. Hopefully it goes like game 1 for Igor, and he can sneak a quick one.
Yeah, and I mean, to some degree, I think we talked about this when they were getting started on game 1. I mean, it's not a super favorable matchup for Igor because he is incredibly reliant on the 4 double colorless energies he runs. Kirk has a million ways to get rid of double colorless energy, and it is impossible for Igor to one-shot a Wailord. So, if you think about, you have to attack twice to kill each Wailord. He's going to need at least 6 attacks, and that means he has to puzzle for at least 2 DCEs probably to get through the game.
Yeah.
Barring a brutal gets us like in game 1. If he says, hey, we're going to get a tie out of this, I'm sure he would love to get a W, but it's also not terrible.
Interesting thing from Kirk here, no mulligans to start game 3.
Igor's ready to shake hands, but Kirk's not set up yet.
So Igor starts Shaman. Actually, not a bad starter. That allows him to Sky Return
He's
it
going to kick it off with
immediately.
a Sky Return right away.
That's very good. He has a Zorua here, has a Zorak in his hand. So not the worst start. He'd like more Zorua, but this is fine. He passes. Kirk plays a Volkner right away. So it could be he's going to grab that comp search again, grab a beach, start beaching right away. He does take the computer search. Computer search, of course, you can discard 2 cards from your hand and take any card in your deck. It's the only card of its kind to be able to do that. Discards a lightning again.
Yeah. The lightning energy is he only runs 1 energy because this is the magic of Wailord. He will never attack. He has not attacked yet. He will never attack. As we talked about, he could attack once with Xurkitree, and all the attack does is give you an extra prize card to your opponent. And he's not going to use Xurkitree in this matchup because that would turn into 2 easy prizes for Igor.
Yeah, I'm sure Igor would wish Kirk would play fair, and they could actually knock each other out. But Kirk opting instead to not do anything. It looks like he computer searches for the Nest Ball and plays Nest Ball. So maybe he has a Tropical Beach and say, double puzzles.
Oh, he's got a double computer search. So he's just trying to run his hand down so he can beach for 7, right?
This is big from Kirk. Now he can set up more, and now he can probably grab that beach.
Yeah, he grabs the beach, and his hand is just an AZ, which is the perfect card for him, and he's going to grab 6 off the beach.
Get a fresh 6. And now Igor, of course, whatever he gets off of this top deck and off of this trade, better be good because this is not where he wanted to be.
Yeah, it's a slow start.
Dang, looks like Kirk beaches for 6.
Yeah, he picked up a hammer there too.
So Igor draws, evolves. He has another Zorak in his hand. Looks like he trades a Hex Maniac, I think that's what that is.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like the cards he got off of that were very good. So it looks like Igor has Colress in hand.
Colressing for 2 is not going to get Igor where he wants.
Yeah, but you see Kirk does have the Tropical Beach down. So Igor can actually drop his hand very low with the Colress and then beach himself if he wants. Kind of bail himself out. Buy himself another turn. Kirk's not doing anything right now because Igor doesn't have energy or anything. So
guys, this is why Michael's good at Pokemon. It's a good call. Ditch all those junky cards, get some fresh cards, and hit the beach. So do you have a strong opinion on the beach problem? And I'm using air quotes even though they're not going to cut to my pretty face here. that people talk about in Expanded?
You know, personally, I don't think it's as big of an issue. There's very few decks. I think Waylord might be one of the only ones that uses it. The game is really just too fast for Tropical Beach now.
Yeah.
It used to be a big problem a couple years ago, but the game has really moved away from it now, and we don't really see decks that use Beach.
Yeah, so when we talk about the Tropical Beach problem, for those people who are less familiar with the intricacies of competitive Pokemon play, Tropical Beach was a card only issued as a promo at 2 World Championships.
Yeah, so it looks like Kirk
Oh.
passes.
He finds
Igor
the DCE.
finds a DCE. He did use the Tropical Beach last turn to draw 5 cards, but it doesn't look like he really... oh, he does have a Lele. Pokemon Communications away. Takes an egg. This is smart of Igor. Now he's going to be able to draw for free every turn with that trade. So this is actually not even that bad of a start for Igor. You know, he's got the Float Stone down, he's got the Sky Return Loop, and he can just start applying a little bit of pressure here with the ability to burst if Kirk whiffs a healing card. Looks like Kirk Ultra Balls 2 eggs away, and he is going to take a Zorua. Opting not to play Lele for Bridget. That's 2 cards he can keep in his deck in anticipation for those double heads from Handiwork.
You know, watching him attach the Floatstone shamelessly after Kirk computer searched away the Megaphone made me realize that Kirk's list doesn't run Zerosic. An interesting decision.
It is, yeah. You know, Zerosic, a supporter card that can discard either a special energy or a tool card in play from either side. Gives a lot of utility, targeting stuff on the bench, targeting stuff under Trainer Lock, reusable with VS Seeker. But yeah, Kirk opting doesn't really feel as valuable.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I recognize you use the Volkner to find the Lightning Energy when you really want it, but Zerosic's so utilitarian. That's a card I loved.
Yeah, definitely used to be a very good card when Seismitoad EX ruled the game. Sees a lot less play now.
Yeah.
We're playing Shaman for 3. He just wants to always have a Shaman in play so he can use that Sky Return Loop. Trades again. Gets us.
Kirk's got a question.
Yeah, maybe he thinks that Igor might have drawn another one. Looks like he Sky Returned for 3, and then he drew 3, and then he traded for 2 more. Not really sure what they're interested in. Maybe Kirk is... Maybe it has something to do with the propagation. Maybe he didn't discard something, and Kirk is wondering if he used the ability or not. Not really sure what's going on.
Guys, I know you're going to be sad to hear this.
We're finding out what's going on here. Okay,
And we're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we've got an interesting situation here. Looks like the judges and Kirk are wondering if Igor used trade twice. So the debate here is whether or not Igor used an Ultra Ball to take an egg, immediately propagate it, and then use a Shaman for setup, and then traded that same egg again. So we're just not sure exactly what happened.
Yeah, the judges were asking us if we had the ability to go to the instant replay. Sadly, we are not the NBA.
Unfortunately not, but they are trying to see if they can rewind it, figure out exactly what happened. Yeah, you know, it's a lot. You see a lot of these incidents on stream, and you wonder how these things keep happening. And you know, a lot of times it's pressure from stream, it's pressure from, you know, making sure you're playing correctly in a tough matchup like this. Sometimes it's a sequencing error.
Yes, I'm sorry. I recognize you guys might be all over this in the chat, and I'm sure whatever various Facebook groups are going to be filled with a zillion replays. The fact that it's not obvious to us in the heat of the moment, and it's not obvious to the two judges that are sitting on the round, man, you can be critical of the judges, but there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, so it looks like they take two cards from Igor's hand at random, put them back into the deck. And I wonder if they're going to give Kirk a prize. It looks like they may have given him a prize penalty. I can't tell.
Well, that's because he won't take the two prizes now. It's the
Right.
new rule, right?
Oh, right. That's right.
He just has to take two less prizes now. This is like breaking news at some level. Starting, was that 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, Sam, why don't you talk about that?
Starting 3 weeks ago, they made a change that I think is great for the game, particularly with some of the new cards they're printing, where when there is a prize penalty now, instead of taking the prizes, you simply have to win two fewer prizes at the end of the game. And that's, on the one hand, you could say, you know, you'd like the benefit of getting those two cards in hand. On the other hand, there are all these new cards in format, like Counter Catcher and Beast Ring, where somebody could benefit from feeding their opponent a couple of extra prizes. So it's
looks like
good balance.
Igor plays the Getsus and it goes through. Looks like he drew two cards, got rid of two items. Kirk's hand is pretty much supporters, and it looks like there's a Zerkatry GX in there. So Igor playing Lele now. Trying to find a supporter, maybe a Guzma. Looks like he's taking an N for next turn, so he can shuffle away whatever Kirk does the next turn.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like an unfortunate circumstance because on the one hand you could say, you know, Igor did quote unquote the wrong thing, but you know, Kirk isn't really going to reap the benefits of having to win two fewer prizes because Kirk's plan's not to win any prizes.
Correct, yeah. And actually, this prize penalty kind of helps Kirk because it makes N less effective against him because he's not down to 4 prizes. He just has to take 4.
That's right. That's right. You're no longer able to put someone in a bad situation in that way either.
So looks like Kirk plays a Lusamine. He's taking back a Tropical Beach. Might be taking a Skyla here. He does take the Skyla. This is very good for Kirk. Again, Beach will draw him cards, and then Skyla can just find him anything he wants. Benches the Zerkatry. That way he can draw more. Not really worried about it getting knocked out because Igor cannot Guzma and Hex in the same turn. It's back to Igor. I imagine if I'm Igor, I want to find a way to disrupt what he drew. He does have that N.
The problem is you got to get rid of the beach.
Yeah, otherwise this is all for naught. Puts the Shaman away. He'll be grabbing another Zork. That way he can trade twice, get 4 fresh cards every turn for free with those eggs.
And you know, even if you get this, as long as the beach is in play, that only gives you 1 turn off, and he can use that to chip the Wailord and then take a knockout while Kirk's refreshing his hand, but puts pressure.
Yeah, Igor's got double puzzle. He's eyeing them. Attaches to that Zork. Looks like there's a choice band on that Zork. He does double puzzle, so he's taking an Ultra Ball, and I can't see the other card,
Skyfield. He's going to knock out the beach.
Going to knock out the beach, and he could be taking Shaman back with this Ultra Ball, draw more cards, maybe find a Getsus or a VS Seeker.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking for Pokemon, right? This is the turn where he's going to knock out that Wailord, right?
Does that Wailord? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got 60
got
on
60,
it. He chipped
so
it.
This is going to be a big turn for Igor here.
Yeah. All that drama separated us from the fact that Kirk did not have the cards to get the 60 off that Wailord. He is really going to go after him here.
So Igor will need 7 in play. with that choice band. That should do 190, which will knock it out. Uses setup for 3. Mr. Mime plays an N, also very big. This could be big for. He does have the propagate, so he will have a knockout this turn on that Waylord. Very big turn for Igor. He disrupted him, got rid of the beach, and he's taking a prize.
Yeah. I assume Igor would really like to draw into some Pokemon right now, so he doesn't have to tap into the 2 eggs in his discard.
Definitely. Another Zorua would be great here. That's the 4th one. A Lele would be fine. Sudowoodo even. It's trades and trades.
Doesn't find Pokemon, benches Pokemon.
Has to propagate. So that is unfortunate for Igor because he won't get the free trades every turn, but if Kirk plays a Tropical Beach, then Igor will just be able to discard them again and be right with the world here. So Igor's counting, treats, and the first Waylord knockout of this series, I think, from Igor.
Yeah. Once again, we just saw the practical benefit of the not getting into 4, right? The fact that Kirk was awarded the prize penalty did not stop him from reaping.
Double Robo Sub and Team Flare Grunt. Team Flare Grunt, I don't think we've seen it this set. It's a supporter card that you discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's just a free double colorless hate card. Igor computer searches right away for a double colorless. He's just trying to go as fast as he can, put as much pressure as he can. And I believe we're actually in +3 of time.
Well, they probably gave them an extension because we had that big pause.
That's
so
right,
we probably have 5 more minutes here that aren't kind of accounted for. I recognize that it is with much sorrow that you guys did not know the exact number of seconds until this is either a tie or not a tie. But
There's just There's so much going on Kirk's side of the board that I just got distracted. From simple details like that.
Yeah, but the fact that the beach is not in play, Igor is trying to be very aggressive and play very quickly because he knows that we are climbing up on time.
So Igor uses Sky Return.
Igor uses the Russian Zoroark Floatstone to get the Shaman into the active.
So this will allow him to freely do that for the rest of the game. Kirk's Megaphone is in the discard, I believe, so he'll have to puzzle for it to stop this play. Otherwise, Igor's just going to be able to Sky Return every turn if he wants. Kirk's going to need to find a healing card for that Waylord, but I think he's got like 7 cards in his hand, so it should be a problem.
Yeah, I'm pro Zerosic for this list because you can Lusamine for Zerosic. It's the power of supporters.
Definitely true.
I know he's very sad about that Floatstone on the Mind Jack Zoroark.
Max Potion, another turn setback for Igor. So
yeah.
You see he's got about 7 minutes left of this game.
All right, we reset the time. Yeah, Igor's playing.
Immediately attacks.
Quick.
Knows he doesn't have much time left. Knows he's got to take a knockout. There's 3 Robo Subs in play. All the healing items and supporters aside, that is 3 extra turns that Kirk has to buy time.
I think Igor's perspective is he's not going to deck. He can't deck in 6 minutes, so he should just play really fast and try to see if he can get there. Because Kirk won't, right?
One thing we talked about earlier, a strategy against these Waylord decks is forcing them to constantly have to play cards. Eventually, you can actually run them out of resources by making this happen. And it looks like he just plays via Seeker Forgets Us. Sky Returns again. Igor is playing lightning fast.
Yeah, the fact that Kirk can't find the beach and can't find the Lusamine is keeping him from getting the resources he wants.
Kirk plays a Gladian. That's a card we haven't seen yet. Why don't you talk about that one? That's an interesting
Gladian's a great one. This lets you search your prizes and pick out one card and replace it with the Gladian and then shuffle up. Did I describe that correctly?
I believe you did.
Yeah.
This is we've seen a few prize switching effects in the past, but this is the first time where it's a supporter card, not through an ability, and it's a very interesting effect.
It's a really interesting effect. I mean, I think in some ways the tragedy of Gladian is, when you put that into your deck, it saves you from, if there's that one card that you have to have. Like if Igor played Gladian, he could have gotten the Getsus out of prizes. But once the Gladian goes into your prizes, you can't replay it unless you draw it from prizes.
Yeah, so it looks like Kirk took a beach to draw some cards. Igor was fortunate enough to replace an egg, but it comes right back to the bench. Igor plays the Skyfield again, and he's just swinging, it looks like. Some counting. I might be playing something else. And he opts to just attack. Knock out that Waylord. He's down to 2 prizes. This is huge for Igor.
Our timer is like a little messed up on the monitor. And then it's fixed. God, the tech people are so good here. If only the commentating was up to snuff.
It looks like Kirk, VS Seekers for Flare Grunt, discards it. So I think that's Igor's third double. Maybe it's his only double. Another beach to replace. Igor is just going to pop those eggs back into the discard, and he passes with the beach. Igor Guzma's up Xurkitree, so he is getting ready.
He's going to put pressure on him to find an AZ.
Yeah.
Or the Hex knockout is coming.
If he can't get rid of that, get that thing out of the active this turn, and he does.
He does.
An AZ. Not what Igor wanted
comes
to
up.
see. Igor's starting
Igor's
to
deck is looking thin.
Yeah, he's starting to run out of resources. He's used Guzma a couple times. Used a couple VS Seekers. And he plays another VS Seeker, pulls up that Waylord.
Kirk wonders how many Seekers he has left. Let's check.
See, one.
I think I saw a second one besides the one on top. Or is it? Bah. Igor, good at resource conservation, right? Igor says, what do I got left?
Looks like there's 5, maybe 6 cards in Igor's
Yeah, it looks like
deck.
6 cards left. An egg, a DCE, a Lele. Really, I think the only thing that matters is the DCE, right?
Yeah. So Igor has to discard a card.
He has to
with
discard
Battle
a card.
Compressor. It does not say you may. It says up to 3, I believe, which means
that requires 1.
requires 1. He retreats and attacks again. He's hoping Kirk doesn't have a healing card.
I assume his plan is to Sycamore for the DCE if he's not able to heal this turn.
So Igor.
Oh, he finds the healing card.
Brutal for Igor.
Yeah.
Kirk passes. Igor draws.
I'm sure Kirk is wondering how many more turns he can go before he can just not bench the Waylord and make him play against Robo-Subs for the last 3 turns.
Yeah. Igor checking his discard. I'm not sure how much he has left, but time is, we're almost done here, so Igor's hoping maybe he can pull out a win with just this little bit of time left.
I'm sure there might be some people who feel like, Igor's playing really quickly. This is certainly more than fair to the Waylord player.
This is interesting from Igor. He draws his whole deck, but now he's got to play an end to shuffle his huge hand in, buys himself many more turns. I don't believe he's played a supporter yet. He's got one more double, but I don't see... Oh, there is puzzles in there. There's one puzzle, for sure.
There's a Seeker, a DCE, puzzles.
He's playing a lot of cards. And
Chorus is for 5.
For 5. Chorus is for 6.
6, 7, 8, 9.
We are not good at math here.
Yeah, the 2 rows of Pokemon. I mean, it's interesting. I always felt like the second they introduced Skyfield, when you look at this kind of quote-unquote standard Pokemon board layout, it's not ready for Skyfield.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Pokemon, people.
Yeah, and that's actually why we're commentating and not playing. Because basic math is not our strong suit. Igor takes down one of those Robo-Subs. Doesn't really do anything for him, though. Doesn't take a prize, and it only helps Kirk.
If Kirk can get
he's
Kirk goes for the handiwork. Flips double tails. After all those heads the last game, the double tails is a harsh penalty.
Luck goes his way this time. Escapes that one. He VS Seekers for Guzma. I think that might be his last VS Seeker. He pulls up that Waylord. I think he'll probably just Sky Return again. Oh, he might opt to Zoroark. There's less than a minute left. 5 cards in Kirk's hand. And he just retreats, and he attacks with Zoroark again. If Kirk doesn't have a way to heal, Igor could win this game. But he does have VS Seeker and an Enhanced Hammer. That's brutal for Igor. He's going to VS Seeker, probably take an AZ or an Acerola. And he does. These are the turns we talked about. Being able to heal and discard an energy is so bad for Igor.
So if you were Kirk, would you have rebenched the Waylord there, or would you have held it a turn?
I don't think it really matters too much.
Yeah, I don't know that it matters.
Because I think Kirk realizes that Igor can't afford to burn resources on like a Guzma because there's so little cards left. He doesn't really have any doubles. But the thing for Igor, time has been called. Igor can't win, but if he has enough cards in his deck,
might not be able to. He can maybe escape the deck out. Trying to calculate exactly how he can survive the time.
Yeah, he's got what, 4 cards left?
I think so, yeah.
But he has to Lucamine for the handiwork this turn, right?
Right, so he'll Lucamine, and that's his turn 1.
That'll take him down to maybe 3 cards. Be interesting.
And then Igor will be turn 2, and then on the final turn of the game, Kirk can play that handiwork and discard the deck. However, once turn 3 is over, that's the end of the game.
Oh, so Igor's never going to have to draw a card to lose.
Right. Even if Igor runs out of cards on turn 3, the game does not end because that's the end of the game. Or, I'm sorry, the deck out does not happen because that's the end of the game.
I'm telling you, this is the magic of brilliant commentary, people.
So Igor is now thinking about this N. Just put as many cards back into his deck. Doesn't matter what they are. You just have to stall for time. He realizes he probably can't knock out this Wailord.
After Kirk's attempt at handiwork last turn, I think Igor said, you know what, a tie sounds pretty good all of a sudden.
Absolutely. Being able to escape this bad matchup with a tie, that's Igor's dream scenario.
Because if Kirk has a Seeker, he just Seekers for handiwork, and then it's just a matter of flipping.
Absolutely.
To try to win the game.
So Kirk is counting the cards. I think that's definitely more than 5 cards.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be able to handiwork his way to the dream. Plus, getting end out of it, he'll have to find the handiwork.
I think Igor is thinking about passing. He passes.
Yeah, he passes.
That's perfect for Igor. Kirk is looking at his hand. Even if he might have to double. Now, like we talked about, double handiwork doesn't even do anything. He Skylas. He's taking. Is that a
puzzle piece?
Puzzle piece. Okay. So could be that he puzzles for something. Oh, I think he just passes.
Yeah, he passes. Igor passes. He says
and
that
they
was
realize
great.
That's a tie.
Yeah.
Kirk does not have the turns required to deck him, and Igor fortunately survives the dreaded whales.
Chip was telling us about a round he commentated in the Toronto Regionals, where he talked about how there's no winner interview at the end of a tie because there's no winners. Having said that, all these people are in. They're 2-0-1, still well positioned for the tournament.
Absolutely. There's plenty of rounds left. It's a little bit of a smaller regional, so less stress on going 7 wins. So that's perfectly fine for Igor. He's fine going 2-0-1 here, escaping the whales. Very interesting matchup.
Boy, I don't know if I was just trying to think about whether or not we would want to have Kirk or Igor on. I think what's interesting about this matchup when I look back is Kirk must have felt awful at that turn 1 gets us in game 1. I mean, it's tricky. I wonder if he feels like, in retrospect, he's just minutes away from winning the game. If there's anything he looks back on in that game and thinks, I could have tried to play those turns faster, I could have tried to do these things a little more crisply. Wailord. It's a hard deck to play against, and he is generally favorable matchup. Wasn't quite able to get there, but he was just minutes away from the win.
Definitely, yeah. Well, that was an exciting one, all things considered. Wales has a way of being exciting even though it's built not to be. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes after this short break.
Yeah, thanks, guys.